It's Monday, the 11th of October 2021. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Morning, Michael.
5 stories in 5 minutes. Here we go. It's a very big couple of weeks coming up for the Federal Liberal Party as it tries to negotiate a climate change position with the National Party. This is all to take to the United Nations conference at the beginning of next month.
Sure is, Michael. It's a very important fortnight for a number of economic and political reasons, as well as, of course, for environmental reasons. On the economic front, investors and consumers leading the way, demanding that businesses take a greater role in climate change, even if the government isn't. Over the weekend, the Business Council of Australia released estimates that argue the economy will be almost $1 trillion bigger over the next 50 years if all parts of the economy do something on climate change. Now, in the political sphere, many Liberals, and probably the Prime Minister, want to adopt a net zero goal, but many Nats don't. That hurts coal mining, that hurts agriculture, and the Nats are looking after their members. Not so easy for the ALP either. The Federal Labor Party hasn't outlined its policy yet. It suffered at the last election, particularly in Queensland, around climate policy, and it's just a little gun-shy. As you said, there's a deadline, and that's November 1. That's when Australia has to turn up to the UN Climate Summit in Glasgow with the plan. The Prime Minister's not going. He's been criticised for that, but we do need a plan.
All right, that's story number 1. On to story number 2, and a big day today for everyone living in New South Wales. I don't know if they're actually calling it Freedom Day, but it feels like that for those living in Greater Sydney with lockdown restrictions being lifted.
Sure does. After nearly 16 weeks, residents of New South Wales will certainly get more freedoms today. The Premier Dominic Perrottet over the weekend committed to avoid further lockdown, saying targeted restrictions were his preferred options. He also said international borders could reopen for fully vaccinated New South Welshmen as early as 1 November. Gyms, restaurants, venues will reopen. Limits on weddings and funerals will lift. Some kids go back to school next week. Everyone will be back to school in 2 weeks' time. It all comes as fewer than 500 cases were reported in New South Wales over the last 2 days, which is fantastic. Victoria, on the other hand, are heading towards 2,000 cases a day, both on Saturday and Sunday. However, Daniel Andrews is still very upbeat, saying that the state will reopen in 2 weeks. That's when they hit that 70% vaccination rate.
That's right, and 10,000 people welcome at the Melbourne Cup. Big news.
Very big news. Will you be going?
Probably not. I don't think I'd make the 10,000 cut.
Maybe not. Righto.
All right, story number 3. We seem to talk about property pretty much every day, and that is just because it is such a big story. On Friday, the Reserve Bank released a report. It's the Financial Stability Report, and it warned that after property prices going up so much for so long, they could actually fall quite quickly if interest rates were to rise too sharply.
Exactly. The central bank is definitely just a little bit more concerned than it was previously. Primarily, it's worried about housing debt, which of course reflects rising house prices. While businesses and households are generally in a pretty good position, the bank said, the rising loans with higher debt-to-income ratios is a problem. Housing credit has grown by 8% plus over the last 12 months. Wages growth is up less than 2%. There's a big mismatch there. Now, last week, APRA, the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, moved to increase serviceability buffers. At the margin, that will add a headwind to house prices, but I dare say there are more prudential controls in store over the next couple of months.
All right, that's story number 3. Story number 4 is one that I think will be particularly of interest to businesses that have been interrupted by COVID. There was a big win for insurers late last week.
Yes, the Federal Court has ruled that the tightly worded policies on business interruption rules pretty much counts out COVID claims. That's a decision worth billions of dollars. The test case against a bunch of insurers will govern how many thousands of insurance claims incurred during the pandemic are handled. Now, Justice Jane Jaggett said insurers were largely not liable for the payouts claimed by their clients. The clauses in the business insurance policies covering infectious diseases, catastrophes, and the prevention of access were narrow enough to exclude the circumstances in which their work has been interrupted. What's that mean? Well, the outbreak didn't occur specifically on most businesses' premises, so it isn't covered by the policy.
All right, story number 5. And a bit of an odd one with a big price tag, this one. And it's strange because we've spent a lot of time talking about climate change and climate policy, and this is about a major fossil fuel project.
Yeah, Woodside Petroleum's going against the grain just a bit. It's set to give the go-ahead, according to media reports, on its $16.4 billion Scarborough gas project. That's on the back, of course, of rising gas prices at the moment. It will be highly criticised for that, but remember, we do eventually need to get to renewable energies. In the meantime, we still need gas, we still need oil to provide energy. So this is a very, very big project, biggest one in a decade involving fossil fuels.
All right, that's it. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 11th of October, 2021. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't quite enough, then you can find our longer podcast, also called Fear and Greed, on your podcast platform. You can find more info at fearandgreed.com.au and sign up for our daily newsletter, entirely free, delivered to you every weekday morning. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fear and Greed Business Headlines. Have a great day.